Hey, it's Flobo, Boyce, host of New Amsterdam Radio, the crown jewel, if you will, of the New Amsterdam Entertainment Network. But that wasn't always the case. You know, when I first started out this podcast, I had so many questions. How did I get started? How do I distribute my podcast? And frankly, my whole life changed when I found Anchor.fm. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. That's paying the bills, ladies and gentlemen. Anchor.fm. I can't wait for you to launch yours. And when you do, tag a brother. I want to hear it. Let's go.
Welcome, citizens. You're listening to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives. Here, thinkers and doers always have a key to the city. The mayor is in, so office hours start now.
Can you believe it? It's already the middle of January. Proof that 2021 is moving a lot quicker than the year before it. Flobo Boyce here, hanging with you guys as we talk about our creative projects and things we're working on, because New Amsterdam is a city for creatives. And I want to thank you so much for following the show at New Amsterdam on Instagram and at New_Amsterdam on Twitter with all your ideas, your notes, and your comments. Greatly appreciated. Today's episode, I got to sit with the founders of Arner Adventures. We're talking Shannon and Gerry Arner. This pair is so bright. It's so full of life, of how they took their ideas about living minimalistically to a whole different perspective on their blog. And I know a lot of us have thought about the idea of blogging. Like, I've been doing it on and off since the early 2000s. And please don't go to my live journal. I've totally got rid of those things. I'm kind of embarrassed to read those things. But the idea to put pen to paper and to share their perspectives to an audience, especially now, post 2020, you can interpret that however you wish, is something that really warmed my heart. So without further ado, my guests, the CEOs, the owners, the runners, the blog keepers of Arner Adventures. Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creative. Once again, it is their mayor, Flobo Boyce, and I'm hanging with two people who are now my bestest friends because their outlook on life has changed so much. Give it up for Shannon and Gerry Arner of ArnerAdventures.com. How you guys doing today?
Doing great. Doing
thanks.
good.
I hope you are.
I mean, I am. I'm up early on a Saturday. I went for a jog, so that means I can have all the cake I want this afternoon.
We started our morning with croissants, so we feel pretty good about things too.
Oh, croissants are light. You know, they're filling too. So.
Yeah. They were buttery croissants, and we walked to go get them, and we enjoyed them by the ocean, so we feel even more indulgent.
That's definitely like mind and soul points too, right?
Right.
It's January 2001 as we record. 2021. We didn't go back in time. We survived 2020, right? Crazy year for all different reasons, and we won't get into that specifically. But question I have for you is, how'd you make it through the year, the decade, the century that was 2020?
Well, 6 feet apart from everybody else, and and masks on our face.
Yeah. I think you know what? I think that we sort of took it in stride. I think we I think so many people can look at it in different ways, and while there were tons of times that there were don't get me wrong, there were tons of times I think that we were wondering how we were going to make it through. We sort of hunkered down and started trying to look at what we could be grateful for, and being grateful for our health and each other. And we just sort of took the time we travel a lot normally. Yeah. We had this giant trip saved up that we had that we had planned for a few years, where we were going to spend Christmas and New Year's in Paris. Oh. And this tiny little Airbnb, and we had the whole thing planned. And as the year went through, we were like, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is going to happen. And then of course it didn't. And so we were really bummed about it. And we had a few trips that canceled, but we just decided, you know what, we're going to take this time to focus on other things and plan for, what else can we do? What other adventures can we have? And we sort of blogged about all of that and what we could do at home and make life more enjoyable. And so we just kind of got creative during COVID and, made the most of it.
Were you like me, where you hovered over like the airline website with that cancel button on the mouse?
Yes.
Oh, come on. But
yes.
you had mentioned Arner Adventures. I'm actually reading through this now, and it not only is the blog, but it's almost like a celebration of gratitude. You really have a different approach to things when it comes to living your life. Actually, I don't want to spoil it. Can you just give me like the elevator pitch of what this blog is about?
Yeah. Do you want me to do it, Gerry, or you?
You can go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, because I can get pretty chatty, the whole blog is sort of about our approach to living life minimally so that we can enjoy life fully. So Gerry and I owned our own business for a number of years. We worked 24/7. It was in the pet industry. We had staff that provided care to pets in their own home. It was 24/7.
Wow.
We had
like people will call you up in the night and stuff.
Yeah. Some of the staff provided care in the home overnight. It was some of it was high need. Some pets who had some medical issues. So anyway, it was intense. It was we loved it, but it was intense. And after a number of years, it just sort of weighed on us, and through a number of decisions. I'm making it sound like it was sort of every night. It wasn't, but but sort of through a number of decisions, we just life events. We were like, I don't know if we can keep doing this, and we just sort of decided, and we were talking about before the show, just sort of how we had accumulated so many things. We, bought a house and spent so much time filling it with things, and, had people over all the time and trying to impress people with things that didn't matter, people that, we may not even like that much.
Yeah, exactly.
and we just started realizing the things that were important. And so anyway, literally in the span of, I think, just a few months, we had put our house on the market. It sold in a day. Holy crap, what are we going to do? And we just decided we were going to downsize and focus on what mattered. And we did some research and had decided we were going to sort of live this minimal approach. And through, again, it sounds very quick, but it wasn't. But we downsized and we started focusing more on the things that mattered. And Gerry can talk a little bit more about that. But we started blogging about it because people started asking us sort of in our circle, well, how are you doing that? How are you separating yourself from the things that all that stuff? I mean, I had, and I have a blog about this too, where I had converted one of our bedrooms into my closet, and I had my little closet in our bedroom was like my office, and you'd think it'd be the opposite, and it wasn't. Right. And Gerry had a room for all of his music, like his man room. And, it was just, I don't know, things just sort of shifted into and now it's like the things that we have in our lives are really what we're grateful for. And Gerry, you can probably talk a little bit more about that.
Before I get I'm just curious, when you change your office into your closet, and your closet to the office, does that like help out like the mindfulness of it all? Because I feel like when my closet's really small, I'm like, clothes. But when I have like the space to think about it, I feel like I'm a superhero.
I will tell you, at the time, I loved it. Yeah. I walked in. I mean, Gerry, you could say I would walk into my closet, which was this big room, and I would just, it was like symphonies were playing, and I just would walk around and just, this is so great. Now I look at it and think, God, that was really ridiculous.
She bought like rolling racks, that hanger racks that went into the room, and then she came up with a design idea was pictures of Marilyn Monroe and different kind of style oriented pictures. Yeah, it was really bougie. I guess you could say, and all these clothes on racks. It wasn't a typical home situation.
No.
It was kind of cool when she did it, but
when we sold our house, our realtor had no problem telling me I needed to convert it right back to sell the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really ridiculous. But I mean, if you like that sort of thing, go for it. But
I will now, yeah.
Yeah.
In my 1-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles.
Right.
Gerry, let me ask you a question. When you guys decided to blog, were you on board as well? Because this is a team-based effort, it seems. Were you like, oh, heck yeah? Or was it like, are you sure? Should we try something else? Like, what was your side of things?
Oh, with the closet?
With the blog.
I'm sorry.
The closet was already a done deal. You had no say in the closet.
No say in the closet. The blog, it's kind of hard for me to sort of remember how it sort of picked up its momentum, but I feel like it was kind of a 50-50 effort, don't you, Shannon?
Yeah, Gerry, I think was a natural writer anyway. I mean, like with your journaling and things like that.
I liked writing enough to go like, typically Shannon will be on the forefront with something, but it was something like, yeah, I'm in, yeah. And it kind of, there was a good balance from the beginning because I sort of like the creative end of things, and she's more on the technical end of things. So like she's the perfect editor and whatnot for whatever writing we do. And I'll just scribble something out, and then she'll take it and kind of, shape it up, and it just it's a good balance between us.
People underestimate the power of a good team. A team can be as small as 2 or 20, but when you have things in sync, good things can happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chemistry like that just means a whole lot, I think. Yeah.
So, like this New Amsterdam brand, your blog's been around since 2017. So it's not like a fly-by-night like yesterday. This has been established for years, and I'm going back. I'm looking at rearranging room tips and living life to the fullest and making sure you're thankful for what you have. And just let me know, from the time you started until now, is it successful in your mind? Is rooms to grow? I mean, what has been your experience with this blog over the time?
When I sometimes go back to 2017, pre-COVID, I would go to these blogging conferences, Blog Her, and just other blogging conferences, and I would get so embarrassed. Just, oh my gosh, I want to delete all of that. And I learned at those. No, you don't. First of all, don't, because then you sort of eliminate the growth of your blog.
Sure.
And then you eliminate the experiences, and sort of like what you're saying, you're able to go back and say, oh, you can see where it started, the trajectory of it. And it's like you're deleting the baby of it. But no, it did not. I mean, I think only now that probably, again, COVID, and while no, I wish it hadn't happened, in many ways, if you can look at the silver lining of it, I think for us, it gave us time to sort of focus on, well, what do we want? What other things do we want from this? What other things can we put out there in the world? What other blessings can it be for folks who might be looking at lifestyles like this, or people like Gerry and I who are looking at being minimal or having more gratitude, or who are focusing more on living a lifestyle like this, and we really honed in on it. So I would say it really didn't start picking up traction, and we didn't start getting more focus on the blog and the Instagram account until really, Gerry, would you say like the beginning of COVID? I would say probably March or April of last year.
Yeah, I'd say that was one of maybe 2 big leaps. The most recent one being just these holidays recently, because we both had a little bit of extra time. But that was probably the biggest leap by far. And I was thinking it'd probably be interesting to look back on some of the stuff from 2017, because I don't think there was a really defined focus then. It was just like right about that, and just kind of write about anything. And we've kind of got more focused in our intentions since then.
And like I said, it was too, people were asking us questions. How did you guys do that? And it was people in our circle or our clients when we, like I said, when we closed our business, it was wait a minute, how did you just sold your house. What are you doing?
Right.
How did you do that? Or what? And we were really just answering questions. So it was more for our circle,
Yeah. It's funny because like a lot of creatives have a very similar story of wanting to do something or doing it. But then with this pandemic happening, there's almost a bit of survivor's remorse because the extra time it's almost like an auto race, a motorsport. When there's a crash on the track and there's like a safety car, you may like jockey a couple positions because it allows you time to refocus.
Oh, that's such a good point.
But we're done a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate that to different, artists and musicians I've read about in the last year who've been so productive. Like, well, we had to cancel our tour because they've all sort of had to cancel their tour. And I put out a book, and then I put out another book, and then a CD. It's like
show off.
Yeah, it's been great for the artistic community. Yeah, they're just hunkered down and creating things.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. 2021, the 30-day minimalism game. I am intrigued, if not outright curious. Walk me through this. What's going on with Arner Adventures?
Yeah, so this is our third year doing it. So every January, well, again, this is the third year. So we learned this there's a documentary on Netflix, The Minimalists, and they sort of started this with sort of intrigue, like motivated us to do it. This year's harder because we do live a minimalist lifestyle. But anyway, the concept is January 1, you pick a person, or it could be a group. But the game concept is you compete against each other. And so Gerry and I do it. And at the beginning, we say, okay, what is the prize with who goes the furthest? Gerry and I usually say, something fun where, okay, the person has to cook dinner for a month, or it was planned the next trip or something. But anyway, so on January 1st, you have to get rid of one item. January 2nd, you have to get rid of 2 items. January 3rd, get rid of 3 items. Well, it's fine until you get to day 15. Like yesterday was kind of hard. Today, I haven't even started. I don't know if Jer has. But every day you get rid of more and more. And last year, I remember on like the 25th thinking, oh my God. And it's anything. So I remember on the 25th going to my desk drawer and pulling out business cards and going, I don't need those. I'm going to scan them and I'm going to get rid of them. And so I was pulling out 25 business cards. Yeah. So it can be anything. You just get rid of it. If you don't need it, get rid of it. Yeah. And it just makes you more mindful, because normally you just wouldn't get rid of 25 things in a day. But at the end, I can't remember the math right now. I don't have it in front of me. It's in the blog, but it ends up being 496 items that you get rid of in a month if you make it to the end. And
I was going to say, what's neat is like I found a gold mine in 2 toolboxes I have, and it seems nitpicky because I'm pulling out like these nuts and bolts, but the thing is, I would just let it piled in there otherwise. It would just be 2 boxes of metal scraps otherwise. So it's like I'm getting all this stuff out, and it, like everything else, is narrowing down to the good pieces of tools and stuff that are in there. Yeah. So it's very useful, even, Is
it for fun, or you guys play to win? Like, is it kind of like for us? Like, no, we gotta, okay.
It's both.
So I gotta save this for tomorrow, guys.
But what's so great now is this year, we post it every day on our Instagram story. We post what we're getting rid of. And so now we're getting DMs of people going, oh, we're doing it too, and look what we're doing. And like my sister, my 2 nieces who are very young, and it's not like, look, she's not forcing her kids to get rid of stuff, but she's trying to teach them, look, there are other kids who don't have these things. And so, today is the 15th. Is there a way that you could find 15 items that you don't play with? And, she's even taken the items and putting them somewhere else. She's not even getting rid of them unless they're broken toys. But just to kind of keep them out of mind, to say, do they need them? But just kind of teaching them the concept. Do you need these things? So it's just kind of a good, learning lesson for folks just to say, do you need these things? It just makes you think about it.
Yeah. That is absolutely fascinating. Climbing Mount Everest, cool. Throwing away stuff? I don't know.
Most people would rather try to climb Mount Everest than get rid of items in their house.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well,
and you do you repurpose things too. That I can throw that away and you go, wait a minute, I could use that for something, I don't know, something you got going on in the house. So certain things do get repurposed for other things, and then everything's functioning, in a really cool way. Things are getting repurposed. And a funny thing is, too, sometimes you'll be walking to the trash can with something, and the other one will go, don't throw that away. That can be used in tomorrow's,
Yeah, that can't be one of the items. Gerry will throw something away, and I go, no, that could be tomorrow's 26 or whatever. Yeah.
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 What does 2021 look like for you guys? I mean, I know you guys with your puppy, Betty White, might travel maybe as far as you can go, and with legal restrictions, or any kind of projects going on. Like, what does 2021 look like for you and your blog?
I think the big thing we have now is the no-buy year. So in addition to the minimalism game, we started the no-buy year, which I don't think is going to be difficult. Although I did have to get Gerry on board to talk about it, but we agreed to it. So we heard a TED Talk from Lucia Gonzalez Shoot, I think is her last name. The last name Shoot or Scoot. But anyway, she did this TED Talk about trying this out. It's not so much about money. It's about being mindful about the money, where your money goes or what you're bringing into your home. And so she's in PR fashion. Anyway, she did this TED Talk about how, you're on your way home from work and you're stopping by the store and you're hungry and you just pick things up instead of just, going home and fixing your food. And then you're on an airplane and you grab things, it's so easy just to buy. And
yes, it is.
Instead of, a button breaks off of your shirt and you go, okay, let me go spend, $40 or $140 for a new blouse or whatever it is, instead of just sewing the button on. So she decided she was going to try this year of not spending any money. Now, you do set your own rules. So whatever your issue is. So some people are like, well, I spend a lot of money eating out, so I'm not going to spend money eating out for a year. So Gerry and I have decided that since our whole, way of life is about living life minimally so we can live life fully and adventure things, that we would have a whole year of not spending money on things. Okay. So we did set rules where if we can't, if it doesn't feed us, including Betty White, take care of our health, our car's health, if it doesn't keep our car running, bills, utilities, groceries. We literally have a list, a digital list. There's a blog about it on our website. But it does include travel. We are allowed to travel. Yeah. We are allowed to, it's like air travel, things like that. But when we're traveling, we're not allowed to buy souvenirs, tchotchkes, stuff like that. We don't do that anyway, but we're not going to do that. Now, for gifts, we don't buy gifts. We can make gifts. I'm a plant lover, so sometimes I try to grow new plants for people, like take snippings off of my plants and grow them for other people. Yeah. Make cookies or, things that other people can enjoy, give experiences, take someone somewhere, or, we live on the coast. So hopefully after COVID, we can invite someone down to enjoy the coast and take them on, an excursion or something. But my whole point is the year we're not going to buy things.
So that's no Roombas, no PS5s.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
All right, well, I guess I won't try to ask for one then. That's fine. Yeah. I'll get it elsewhere. It's cool. Well, right. Is this the first time doing it, or is it the first time doing it?
It is our first time doing it.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's kind of our big thing right now, and we're going to do a monthly update. We were actually just talking about it before we jumped on here. We're kind of assessing, how do you think we're doing so far? We're halfway through the month. How do you think we're doing? And we, so far it's only 15, 16 days in. I think we're good. Again, I think COVID helps things like this. I mean,
Yeah. It does. Yeah, definitely does. I haven't thought much about it so far. Well, we haven't really been pressed on anything yet. So.
We haven't. So we'll see. And another thing is, because of COVID, so much travel was canceled that we have all these credits. Yeah. So that's going to help if we do get to travel again, that we have all those credits waiting. So anyway, that's kind of it. But we're just going to try to continue to live our life to the fullest and keep living life minimally, while hopefully letting other people know that they can live that way too and live this full life without having to materially own things. That doesn't matter.
True. Someone's watching or listening right now and they have their own creative thing, whether they're a painter, whether they're a writer or blogger like yourself. There's always that internal conflict, like, should I do it? Who would read it? Who would buy it? Who would view it? What any advice you have for someone who's on the fence of going into their thing, wherever that thing may be?
Yeah. You want me to jump, Gerry? You
go ahead. Yeah.
I think it's sort of like when we were talking about when we jumped to own our own business full time, and it's the same with the blog. I think if you don't, it's so scary, and I think if you don't jump and devote the full time to it, no one else is. And I think if you don't give it the passion that you have, and it's your baby, then no one else is. But I think, if you have the passion for it, and I read this quote the other day, and I wish I had it in front of me, but it was something to the effect of that if it's your passion and you're devoting your life to it and you're loving the fact that you're doing it, then you're in the right place. Yeah. And that's really what matters, and that if you're the only one, you're not the only person thinking and doing that. There are other people who are wishing, that they could see somebody else doing it. And so that's kind of the way I look at it is, in 2017, when there was this baby blog that looks so sad when I look at it now, I'm thinking, gosh, if I would have seen that somebody was blogging these things, I would have been like, oh, there's somebody else thinking and feeling this way. So, I just hope that it gives that same feeling to someone else. And, I hope that other creatives feel that way. And, and we do spawn off into other things, like, Gerry blogs about some music sometimes, and we blog about mental wellness. And it's because I know that all those pieces come along with this life and being a creative and being someone who, gosh, even just living this life, whether it's in COVID or not, those things are so important, an important piece of just going through this journey. And I know that other people suffer from these things and are going through these things. And I just think if we all just kind of be a little more gentle with each other, then this life would be so much easier to talk about things, That's true.
Just before we get out of here, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show today. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for having us.
But now,
wonderful.
I got to ask also, where can the world find you, though? Like, if everyone want to join your blog or your Instagram or your Twitter, now's the time to promote yourself.
Gerry, you want to go?
Well, yeah, we're at arnerventures.com. They can look that up, and that will take them to access anything on take them to our Instagram, and that would be
a navigational home for everywhere. Arner Adventures.
Yeah.
Excellent. I want you back on a future episode to see how it's growing for the next year. And if you survive the year of not buying things, that blows my mind. Shout out to PS5, y'all.
Thanks so much for listening to New Amsterdam Radio. Learn more about the show at newamsterdam.com. That's KNEW Amsterdam.com. Until next time, this city is yours.